That's all right. It's all right. It's giggle.
Always ramble. Used to. I didn't say a lot.
Neither did I.
Always have a little ramble.
Hey, there was 8 episodes and not a lot.
Talk about dragging it out.
Yeah.
Bonjour, guys.
Bonjour.
Welcome to an AHSOKA overview.
Slightly late.
We are a bit late. We're well behind. I don't think we're going to be trending with this one, guys.
No, but I will.
Blame it on me, and it is a bit of a lack of enthusiasm for it. But it does need to be. We do need to have a chat about it, don't we?
It's got to be dissected a little bit. We
need to have a chat about it, like in the old days where we'd have a beer and we'd be talking about a film. We'd all have a different, an opposing view, or talking about a character. I think one thing that AHSOKA does deserve is a little bit of a, for good or ill, it does deserve a dissection.
Yeah,
100%. 100%. We're so enthusiastic. Yay.
So what I'll do, listen, I'll kick it off because I did a review of every episode. So anyone who's bothering to watch this is going to know what my faults are. So I'm going to give a really quick one, and then used to jump in.
Yeah. Crack on.
Yeah. Should we do that?
Go for it.
Yeah, go for it, man.
At the end of this series, I found it really weird, for starters, that it felt like a full stop. It felt like an ending. It felt like and I don't know if that was entirely down to the show or if it was just down to all the news around it. Just felt like, listen, it's done now. It just seemed to grind to a halt. And the shame of it all, the one big shame for me, is old Ray Stevenson.
Yeah.
That Balin character.
Yeah, 100%.
A bit more of that. I mean, I think the one. So I'm gonna kick this off with positives, right?
Go for it.
And it was the dark stuff. It was old Balin Skull, was it?
Balin Skull, yeah.
And old Blondie, shit buddy, and the witches. I just thought they'd done that really well. And that Temple Planet at the beginning, and when I was fucking about with the balls and all that. I liked that how they portrayed all of that element of it, all of the dark side, right up until and including Thrawn's entrance, his introduction. I thought they'd done that so good. The Star Destroyer squatting on the column.
That's it. Yeah.
after we've had AHSOKA play with the balls, you've got
that's it.
Yeah,
Chimera just mounting on
the messaging. But no, I just enjoyed and the stormtroopers in all that kit, and I think we did discuss this on the Hogcast as well. Like that's the kind of stuff that gets you going. What have these stormtroopers been doing for 10 years on this planet, and what have the witches been doing, and how is Thrawn? Like that was intriguing, and they didn't explain it. They kind of danced around it. I say they, Filoni. He danced around that, and I enjoyed that because sometimes you don't want every single thing explained. But that was the good stuff. The pinnacle being Ray. But from that, then they just spoil Thrawn. He's supposed to be, the most accomplished tactician in the galaxy, in any galaxy far, far away. And
he's a man living in denial, isn't he?
Yeah,
like he loses half his men. At the beginning of the last episode, they're ready to leave, yet he hangs around. He basically messes it up and makes stupid choices, yet is in denial because he's like, no, that's what I planned. That's what I planned the whole time. No. It's okay. He's literally an arrogant man in denial. He's not the great tactician because all his tactics are bad and bad choices.
And that's a shame. But do you know why? It's because it's not one of Filoni's characters, is it?
Fraud, no.
Fraud, no, it's not one of his characters. So he got that one wrong.
Yeah, big time.
But it's a great character. But the other thing I did like was the master and apprentice aspect. Lightsabers, Jedi, master, apprentice. I love that Star Wars. If we're gonna moan about what isn't Star Wars, permit me to for a minute to applaud the fact that, all right, even if you don't know, and we didn't get to know any of these characters really, unless we've seen four series of Rebels. We didn't, did we? But it was nice to see masters and apprentices, Jedi, lightsabers, training, that element that I hadn't spoken about in any of my reviews, actually. Only, thinking about things, doing this overview.
Yeah.
No, I did like that element of it. It wasn't. They messed it up. Or no, I keep saying they. Filoni messed it up. I think he's too tunnel visioned. But that was another element that I did like. That is pure. That's pure Star Wars. Master, apprentice, lightsabers, Jedis. Come on. But ultimately for me, after Thrawn's, I don't know, it's just all downhill, and only really, it's only Sabine's the character that had an arc at all.
Did she?
Well, she went from long hair. She went from long hair to short.
The short hair.
That's right.
Being stabbed, recovering.
She got stabbed by a saber and was all right.
Fucking up the entire galaxy for selfish reasons just to find her friend Ezra.
You're taking this.
Doesn't get no consequences.
What happened to AHSOKA? Nothing. She had a couple didn't know nothing about her. But Sabine
She got a new gown.
She got
a new gown. Costume went from grey to white.
So I'm gonna. I don't know why I'm in such a generous mood tonight, but I'm gonna say
I'm not.
It was uneven at best.
Oh, that's not even. I don't even think uneven is.
Who wants to follow that?
I'll go in.
I've done 8 episodes of reviews. I can't want to repeat all the waffle, the half hour of waffle.
I'm going to dive in here.
4 hours of waffle. Everyone, I'll put a link in for my waffle. So who wants to kick off?
No, go on. Let Liz go.
Either Liz, Tayters, what?
Go on, let Liz go.
Yeah, I'm going to go.
Okay. He's got a lot to say.
No,
and we've heard it all on the phone, so this is going to be like the James Bond crying. This time.
So overall, missed opportunity. To sum up this show, let's look at what it accomplished. 2 characters trapped in another galaxy, swap places with another 2 characters that are now trapped in another galaxy. That's literally all that's happened in the whole show. 2 characters have swapped places with another 2 characters. Now, I said before, this show would have benefited a lot better if it was set pre Star Wars, the original. So in the timeline, if it was set before that, if they had got the midpoint right and they actually got on with the story, AHSOKA could have got to that other galaxy before the original Star Wars movie. They're trapped there for about 3-4 years, and then they all manage to get back, and maybe they have to work with Thrawn to try and get back, or something like that. But then time jump it, so then that way explains where the fuck they were in the original trilogy.
Yeah, see,
do you know what I mean? Just something. It doesn't work in the time frame because all they've done now with this show
that muddies the waters even more. And
yeah, but all they've done with this show now
doesn't make the 8 episodes they filmed any better.
No, but because what I'm saying is anything that they've done now is they've diminished the character of Luke Skywalker because there's other Jedi floating around. They've diminished the lightsabers. Lightsabers don't do bugger all anymore.
Oh yeah, they don't. No,
They don't do nothing. Even when they're cutting down the zombies, they're not getting cut in half. There's no legs going anywhere. Like they literally destroy those stormtroopers. Every one of them gets back up. They haven't got a limb missing, nothing. They just start strolling towards them. They've diminished what lightsabers are. And do you remember during like lightsaber fights, original trilogy, prequel trilogy, when there's a lightsaber fight, there's consequences.
yes.
The stakes are raised, and there's a consequence for that fight. Let's look at Duel of Fates, for Christ's sake.
Powerful weapon.
Yeah. There's it's a powerful weapon, and there's a consequence for that fight that will change the story moving forwards forever. If you look at Duel of Fates as a perfect example, let's look at when Darth Vader fights Obi-Wan in the original film. There's a consequence. Let's look at when Luke fights Vader in Empire. There's a consequence. The story changes. The amount of light. Okay, don't get me wrong. I love a lightsaber fight. Let's look at Anakin and Obi-Wan in Episode 3. There's massive consequences. Don't get me wrong. I love a lightsaber fight, but when you throw in lightsabers, people like lightsabers. Let's just throw in some fights, and it's bad choreography, and every fight throughout the show just ends in a draw, pretty much, apart from the first episode when she gets stabbed and survives and just wipes it off as if nothing's happened. There's no stakes to it, so the lightsaber fights are then diminished.
Yeah,
and it just ruins. It's not something special anymore.
It's
not something that
it's dancing around some light tubes.
I mean, I give you the choreography thing that I really like. Other than Hayden Christensen, there wasn't really anybody on there.
The old Morgan girl, she done all right in the last episode.
Elspeth. Yeah.
Well, right, but that's her training, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's her training. That's her background. That's her history.
Was that the last episode?
Yeah, it was last episode. Yeah.
She was fighting a sofa, and I thought, oh wow, what did they hire a new?
Yeah, no, that's
I must admit, I must admit, I did like Ezra's decision at the end. Yeah. So Ezra, Sabina's basically doomed the entire galaxy to get to Ezra. When they reunite, it doesn't even look like either of them care. And then as they're about to escape, he's got the chance, knowing that she's not going to be able to get on board and escape with him. He's just like, oh yeah, I'll leave you behind. See you later. Just goes back to their home galaxy and just leaves them there. It's just, yeah, it was a massive, massive missed opportunity. There was so much potential with this show of what they could have done, and they didn't hit the mark on any of it. Absolutely, it was terrible. There was only 2 good points in it for me, and it is the member berries bit of it. Anakin, I liked the concept of seeing him, and he did do well with what he had. But again, I remember I must have said it on one of the podcasts, it was a missed opportunity. There was so much more you could have done with those scenes, and they just didn't do it. It's like, oh, let's do, everyone likes lightsabers, let's do a lightsaber fight. You needed some more dialogue there to, get some character development, get some growth. It was the only time we actually needed more dialogue, and actually good dialogue. All the other times throughout the show, it was just unnecessary dialogue with long pauses in between each sentence. I mean, if they had actually edited it correctly, and when someone finishes a sentence, the other person starts as if they're actually having a conversation and talk straight away, like, how are you doing? Yeah, I'm good. How are you? Instead, they went, how are you doing? Yeah, I'm good.
A bit like
how are you?
The way
there was no flow to it. Actually, if they cut out those gaps, you'd end up with 3 fucking episodes.
The bit that I know you really didn't like Thrawn's speech pattern. I think it suits the character though. I think it does. They're basically showing you someone who thinks about everything he's saying. There's no random, there's no explosive sort of like emotional outburst. It's a very thought about, okay, I am going to say this, and these words are meaningful, and everything is
that's great.
Everything is purposeful.
That's great, but with
he doesn't do anything.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
But ultimately, no good. But yeah,
and then the lines that he's given, he's just everything he's given, he's in denial. He's just going, yeah, no, it's part of the plan. It's great. It's fine. Don't worry. It's all good. And it would have worked if he was coming out with really great tactical choices and decisions, and it would have worked. But he wasn't.
From what I read, that Timothy Zahn was in on that. He did actually collaborate. I don't know for sure. I'm just saying what I read. I'm still not convinced that was 100% Filoni. I'm still convinced there was involvement in interference, and I can't see that being 100%.
You're probably right. You're probably right there, Taters. Because to be fair, how Balin, as a new villain, like, you know, Thrawn is supposed to be the big bad.
Yeah.
But Balin.
What did we learn about AHSOKA? What did we learn about AHSOKA? Nothing.
That we don't already know.
Yeah.
She can really, really fold her arms.
Yeah. They kind of went to town on that. She does it a lot through the whole of Clone Wars and through the whole of Rebels, but
even in
they really went to town on the folding their hand. Yeah.
Oh, was that a thing?
Yeah.
It's really cool when how cool is it when your main character folds their arms?
We learn. Don't forget her powers. You know that oral notes.
What?
Oral notes that I sent you to
the
AHSOKA Tano. New powers, water breathing.
Yeah,
see a picture of her like underwater, and quick change, and then it's when she's jumping out on the wing of that ridiculous scene. To cut spaceships in half, and suddenly you can cut spaceship again. We're talking about. I know this is a really geeky thing, isn't it? But it is diminishing. Like, no, it's not even diminishing. It's confusing the audience, because suddenly I can cut a space fighter in half.
Yeah.
But if I stab someone with it, they just go, oh. And
they go, see, it's the location. It's the location. That was the whole thing, wasn't it? After Sabine got stabbed, it was just like, no, but she got stabbed in a non-vital place. It was slightly there and slightly there, and I still go back to.
It was just to the left.
I still go back to.
Yeah, but they've done it with Reaver.
Phantom Menace.
They've done it with Reaver,
Jinn stabs that door, everything starts to melt.
Yeah.
She would have melted from the inside.
But they done the same with Reaver, though, didn't they? She got stabbed twice through the middle of the chest, and she survived.
But Reaver, that's fine. They should have stabbed her a lot more, but they didn't. I can cope with that.
But let's take my one gripe I can't get over out of the equation. So you didn't explain where she was during the OT. Take that out of the equation. This show, the story is Thrawn returning, not how he came back. So how he came back should have been covered in the first 2, maybe 3 episodes. So literally the first episode you set up, let's get thrown straight into it. Right, we're going there now. We've found a way. We're going there. Oh shit, he's back. And then the rest of the season is about dealing with him coming back. It's just been dragged out way too long. There's no momentum. There's no stakes.
It was such a letdown. On the whole, it was such a letdown. It was just too little, too late happening. And then, like I said before, I've got no problem with a slow burn. You have 8 episodes, and you take 4 to 5 episodes to really ramp it up, and then you end up with a banger.
Yeah.
But when you got a slow burn that just goes, it's no good. It's that ending. It wasn't an ending. It didn't actually end. All we've done is here's a load of foreshadowing. Guess what's happening in season 2? That's it.
So it's almost like
that. That's all we got.
It's almost like you could sum this season up in an opening crawl.
Probably.
You know what I mean? It's almost like you could sum it up. You get the big old Star Wars music kick in. You get the crawl. And that crawl is what this season is, and then that's when your series starts. Thrawn returns, and then the story starts.
Thrawn has returned to the galaxy. He's rebuilding the Empire, and blah blah blah. Sabine is having a cuddle with
Sabine and Ahsoka are trapped in a galaxy even further away. Done.
I mean, take
now, haven't they? So yeah, Ezra's back. Yeah,
like take the meeting of when they met Ezra. It was just like, oh my god, it was such an anticlimax. Like, oh, there you are. Hello.
I mean, how long have you been waiting for that reunion?
You know what I mean?
But even so, let's call it Rebels Series 5.
That's pretty much what it was.
But it didn't even hit the mark for that, did it?
Not really.
No. It just went, oh, all right. Yeah, you're right.
See, I personally, I do like the member berries. I do like the Easter eggs. I do like the callbacks. I do like the things that remind you of stuff that is actually good. What I say about Filoni, for instance, I want to know how much interference there was, because we know Filoni, left to his own devices, churns out Clone Wars season 7. You know what I mean? And that but really well done. Rebels season 4.
But let's be fair, mate. Clone Wars season 7. It only really there's a couple of good. The first 2 episodes, the Bad Batch episodes, aren't they? In season 7.
Mm-hmm.
So they're good, and then it drifts off for a while, and then the last 4 are absolutely banging.
And then you get the focus, smashing. And then you get the focus back,
yeah. Because he, and this is the thing. I think where he's so used to doing the animated format, there's plot points you could probably get away with if it was animated. If this Ahsoka show was animated, an animated Ahsoka show, for some reason, I don't think would be as critical of the plot.
No, probably not.
And there's things you can get away with, but also when it comes to animated, there's also a lot of filler because they demand a lot more.
They need more episodes as well.
It's kind of like he hasn't got out of that rhythm of animation when he's gone into live action, because the stories he hasn't improved his storytelling that he could have got away with in a 20-minute animated episode, because you've got to cram it in a bit more. So all he's done is try and filler. Hasn't really thought of his plot. He hasn't actually stepped forward and stepped up a notch when it comes to live action. He's sort of kept himself down in the animated sort of realms, which, okay, fair enough, but improve your fucking storytelling, man. Because this entire show is one stupid choice followed by another stupid choice. And the only reason they make those stupid choices is because they need the next scene to happen instead of thinking of an intelligent way for it to happen. Like, why at the beginning of the final episode, we've loaded everything, we're ready to go. Why is Thrawn still hanging around? He doesn't need to fight. He doesn't need to send soldiers in to get killed at the end of episode 7. They're over there, just fly off, leave them there. But instead he hangs around, and there's no reason for him to hang around. But he wants to play this chess game, which he's losing at every turn, but he's still in denial, saying that he's winning at every turn. And then basically at the very end thinks, oh, shit, better go now. And then buggers off, which he could have done at the very beginning. Have something wrong with the ship. You know, perhaps, you know, as they're coming back, they managed to get a few shots off at the ship before their ship crashes, and they disable one of the drives for a second. So it ups the tension. Now they're both trapped there. Who can get their fixed ship quicker? And then go from there. Actually build the tension and have actual reasonable explanation of why he's hanging around and why they're forced into this fight, and it's a race against time. But it's not. He could have gone at any point. He could have just flown up into orbit.
That's called drama. That's called drama. We can't.
Exactly.
I do wish they hadn't called the thing Ahsoka. That was the big letdown. It's just like, that shouldn't have had Ahsoka's name on it. Again, I know Rebels season 5, obviously when season 4 got cancelled, and they had to cut it short and they had to bring it to a conclusion. I thought they did really, really well with the 13 episodes that was meant to be. I think it was slated for 22. I can't remember, a long time ago. And season 5 was meant to have a lot of stuff, and that carried over into this. But they'd have been better off just calling this Rebels and not call it Ahsoka, because again, just the name, you get a certain sort of, yes, we're going to get that good stuff, and it just it wasn't there.
You're setting up a new character, new hero. You're elevating someone.
It didn't happen. Like I say, I mean, the biggest intrigue for me with this whole thing was the new characters. You know, to start with, we had Marek. Nobody knew anything about him. We all had guesses. We all were sort of like, what's happening? Is it Ezra? Is it what's his face, Star Killer? You know, is it anyone else?
And so it's just a puff
I
of
had
smoke.
quite a few guesses of who I thought it was, and everybody was wrong. And then we got Balin Skull and Shin Hati. Great characters, fantastic new characters.
They were.
We don't get to see enough of them.
There was a little bit of interest. No, but do you know what? I think we saw, Taters, I think we saw enough of them to a bit like Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Like they actually left me wanting more.
Wanting to know more about the characters,
Like, oh, come on. I like these two.
I was annoyed with the final episode when we only saw Balin for like one scene where he didn't even talk, just stand on the mountaintop. Like, obviously, they didn't know at the time what was going to happen to Ray Stevenson, and I get that. But you've got such a great character there. Let's have, instead of leaving it all mysterious, let's just give us something a little bit more for that character.
I actually did like that scene where he's standing on the I know it was like everyone's saying it's a rip-off of Lord of the Rings.
The Rings, yeah.
But if not a lot of people picked up on the fact that the hand that he's standing on is the hand of the father, and next to him is the son carved into the mountain. On the other side, where the daughter's meant to be, it's all broken down and gone. And then he's looking, but again, this is all related to past stuff. So I liked it for that reason.
To be fair, I've got to say, from the Clone Wars, I don't like when they explore the Force. The Force is the Force. Let's leave a bit of mystery to it, and let's just crack on telling some good stories. I don't like all this. I didn't like the Mortis arc. I didn't like it.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I didn't like, in Clone Wars, that Mortis arc wasn't, it just didn't intrigue me at all. I'm just thinking, why are you trying to explain?
What about that did you not like? Because I don't think they I think they delved enough far enough into the Force to give people an overview, but not far enough that it's just like, this is the whole explanation.
There was one scene that was where, if I remember rightly, Anakin has a vision of his future.
Yes.
That's the one bit I did like. But other than that,
it
was. I like the Force being mysterious.
Yeah, so the son,
don't like it.
The son gave him that vision. That's the son forced that vision onto him. Yeah,
but I don't feel like we need to explain everything. If that makes sense.
I don't feel they did.
I thought that was always the spiritual element of it.
Yeah.
It's always, if you've got these magical powers, and again, that's the other bit I liked with the witches, and because I hadn't seen Rebels and all the rest of it, the witches and the Temple Planet and all that wasn't being explained. No one was standing around going, "Oh, here we are on the Temple Planet. This is the ancient site of blah blah blah." They kind of got a bit in, but left enough. They left it loosey goosey enough.
Yeah,
there's.
It was intriguing. Like, where's Balin Skull and Shitty Hattie come from? But they was all moody, mean and moody. That's enough. That was enough. I thought they.
Yeah.
That was.
Yeah.
And it is a shame. But
what did everyone think of the zombies, though?
Ultimately, a waste of time. Zombie troopers.
Right. So this was my fear with the witches, that I know that again they appeared earlier on. They appeared in the animated.
Yeah.
And again, not too sure. I'll take it or leave it. It's fine. But when you introduce that into your live action, you've kind of got to put a cap on what their abilities are. And I know they've left it mysterious. They haven't really answered anything. But one minute they're making a sword, next minute they turn the other one into a witch. Next minute they're raising these dead stormtroopers and turning them into zombies. Are we watching Star Wars? Does that feel like Star Wars?
I was watching the extended edition of the Michael Jackson Thriller video.
Yeah.
I just couldn't help it when they was all getting up going like that.
Yeah, that's it.
tell you what,
I was expecting Negan to pop out with Lucille, start going for it.
Not even that good. No, there's no way.
It definitely didn't fit. It definitely didn't fit. I can see what they were trying to do, and I understood the concept. I just disagree. I don't think it.
It doesn't. At all. It doesn't feel like Star Wars, does it?
It doesn't exactly. There's no Star Wars to it. It's just, yeah.
It just. I don't know. I say, especially when you've got a masked bag, and that's stormtroopers are the epitome of this. You've got a there's a human underneath it because you can't see them. You don't really think, the good guys are just slaughtering loads of stormtroopers here. So it's same with the droids, and it's the same with the zombies. You can cut zombies' heads off, but it's okay. It's because it's a zombie. It's not a person. So you'd expect a bit more dismemberment when you got a lightsaber. Lightsaber's a great weapon against zombies, man. Come on. And there was nothing. They're just slashing them. It wasn't going through anything. I don't know. For me, they've just diminished a lot of other things by doing this show. They've diminished the character of Thrawn. They've diminished lightsabers. They've diminished lightsaber fights. They've diminished Luke Skywalker.
A Star Destroyer full of stormtroopers that have been exiled for 10 years on an alien planet. I've got
intriguing.
You both know. I was excited. I was excited by the visuals of it.
Yeah.
And I thought, there's a lot here that they can do.
Yeah.
Like, if he goes back, when he returns to the galaxy, this is where I know everyone calls me a moany old cog, but this is the bit where I'm thinking, oh my God, he's got a Star Destroyer full of a battalion of stormtroopers that have been with him for 10 years, exiled, that have had to they're feral, but he's had to maintain discipline.
Yeah,
they are in all their repaired armor.
Yeah,
and I wasn't thinking about kind of the zombie bit of it. I was thinking about the loyalty side. I was thinking about returns to a galaxy far, far away with this lot, and they're in charge of the Empire, and they are 100% Thrawn. Committed to Thrawn.
Yeah, that's cool. I'd rather just see a whole show on that.
It's so excited. Like when and the bloke with the gold, what was his name?
Enoch,
yeah.
What's a name?
From the Bible.
But that looked so good because they're all adapting their armor. Because listen, they're not playing by the Empire's rules, being exiled for 10 years, are they? Discipline is going to get lax, or certain things are going to get lax, and I'm overthinking it in a way, because I'm thinking Thrawn is allowing it because he knows he's got to keep a tenuous of discipline on these guys, so he's letting them adapt their armor. And I was, this is going to be great.
Yeah, but another great question.
Through this series, where they get back, and let's see them unleashed at the end of series 1. Let's see these stormtroopers that are so committed to Thrawn.
Yeah, consequence.
All right, they might have had a bit of witch, influence to keep them alive, but not zombies, but just something opposite to the Force, maybe. But that's when everything starts getting exciting, and then we don't do it.
Yeah, 100%.
We go to crab people.
Yeah, talking to crab people, that's the other thing that kind of annoyed me, because you've got Thrawn and Ezra stuck on this planet. Thrawn with his battalion. Thrawn with his bloody battalion and his Star Destroyer, his TIE fighters, and Ezra is also on this planet, and he hasn't been able to find him, yet Sabine finds him within one episode.
I know, within one.
It's like, so you've just diminished your bad guy straight away.
Ridiculous.
You've diminished your big bad straight away. They should have had Ezra in prison. He's keeping him alive for some reason. He's captured. Do you know what I mean? Instead, they've got to get merchandise out, haven't they? Crab people.
It's merchandising. It's merchandising.
If everything else was hitting the spot, that plot hole of Sabine landing and getting on one of them dog horses, whatever they're called.
Dog horse.
It looked like Roland Rat, didn't it? It did look like Roland Rat.
Not Wheaty, Errol.
That's it.
Yay, Rat fans.
That's the one.
But he was very loyal, wasn't he?
If that was the only hole in an otherwise great show, and especially with Star Wars, we do overlook. There's
little things. Yeah, there's things you can overlook
a lot. We would overlook a lot for the sake of Star Wars, but because it's part of something that is so loose anyway, that is so shoddy, that adds to the pain.
Yeah.
It's not something that you just go, oh, all right, I'll allow that. You know, it's happened. That's random. Nothing else is random. Just that.
Yeah.
But it's part of a whole cacophony of
See, I kind of felt it would have been cool if that it would have been cool if Enoch, that bloke with the gold stormtrooper helmet, that would have been a cool twist if that was Ezra.
Yeah, no, there was a lot of that. There was a lot of debate about whether Ezra did actually turn to Thrawn's side through, a different look, a different outlook on the Force.
Well, you think you would think if Thrawn is that capable, he would have captured Ezra very early on. Bear in mind, they was on the same ship, so pretty much would have got captured straight away as soon as they got stranded there. He would have had him chained up, tortured him, got into his head to the point where he could turn him and control him. And that would be a good bit of, okay, that's a good story. This makes Ezra more interesting now. He's been broken.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Going through the mill to find Ezra, and then he is the second in command.
Yeah.
Last team. That would have been powerful.
Yeah, it'd been awesome.
They're just never ever going to do it. They're just not going to go there.
But this is the problem, and this is why I kind of feel like it's the opposite to what Tayters is saying. You're saying that there's been loads of people like there hasn't been solely Filoni.
I don't know. I sort of say I wish I knew. I knew what it was.
But that is your suspicion.
Yes,
there might not have been. My suspicion is it's the other way round. I think that he's not going to kill his darlings. He's so protective of his own characters and getting them into live action. He's the man that he's a super fan. Great, awesome. But he's the man that needs reining in, and he needs some help with his stories. He's the law man. He is the man that knows the law inside out, but he needs the people to help him craft the story. And I think where he's been potentially given too much space, that's where we're getting all these plot holes come from.
Yeah, I think
and these issues.
No oversight.
Yeah,
we said this. I'd said to you, Hog, when we were talking during all this stuff going on, the one thing that I wish they would have done and do in the future is to do a secondary audio where they can have, like we used to get commentary on DVDs.
Yeah.
If they did that with this, so you give an insight to what you're thinking, and
no one wants to put their name to it.
I think that would help.
No one wants to put their name to it.
Well, there is that, but it's just.
To be fair, I think you're onto something there.
If you had a commentary track,
and it would
where you could go on, switch the audio to a secondary audio, and you could get the commentary track from the director of that episode, from the showrunner, from whoever.
Because if you are into something, like if you are, obviously, the go-to comparison is One Piece, because they came out at roughly the same time.
Yeah.
I tell you for nothing, if they done what you're talking about, Tayters, that commentary on what they did and how they're doing it, and the expanded world building.
Yeah.
Have they not done a behind-the-scenes special yet? Because they've done it for all the others, didn't they? They've done like an hour special.
Oh, what's that? But
for AHSOKA, they did. It's about 20 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I would like to have seen, what they did, like Mandalorian, where they did
the gallery.
The gallery thing. That would have been quite nice to see, just to see what they were thinking.
That's what I mean. If they were just to have a commentary track, so you've got if you want to know, you've got some explanation that you can get back to know what they're thinking, to know why these things are happening. I just think it might help. I'm not saying it's the solve. You know, the solve is to tell a good story, but
but where so
who knew?
So Tayters, because you was the one that, I mean, over the past couple of years, we've all been anticipating different shows.
Yes.
At different levels. I mean, there was a moment when the first Bad Batch trailer come out.
Yeah.
I was so excited.
Yeah.
Until they dropped it.
You got into season 2 though.
Like a turd into the pan. And I thought, what they
you got into season 2 though, to be fair.
But Tayters, this was your one, wasn't it? This was the one where you were saying, so apart from, you know, we're discussing this Rebel Series 5 and all the rest of it, but I do get the sense that, you know, and we're having a general chat and we're having a general overview and we're nitpicking and, you know, bits we like, but for you, are you saying it just didn't deliver?
It didn't deliver. No, you are spot on. I wish they hadn't called it AHSOKA. I really do. I wish they hadn't called it AHSOKA because it wasn't AHSOKA. It was another bait and switch.
Yeah,
it wasn't AHSOKA. No, it didn't deliver. Like I said, I said on one of the podcasts, I'll judge the entire series. So I watched the entire series. There's some highlights.
How are you judging it, Tayters?
It's a letdown. That's it. It is a letdown. It is a letdown. I wish there was something positive I could say. Like I say, all the stuff that the fan service stuff, I loved it. All the Easter eggs, I loved it. The story wasn't there. There wasn't enough to make a story. The new characters are intriguing. You know, there's a lot of, who's this? What's their backstory? You know, where are they going? What have they done? Where are they from? It's still lots of things to be answered, but yeah, it was a letdown. It wasn't what I wanted.
Oh, it's a shame, isn't it? When a you know, Filoni as a super fan delivers like we discussed, I think, on a couple of podcasts, that it's just for super fan, and you know, a super fan making it for this, which I can appreciate.
Yeah.
But when it can't deliver on that level, that's when you know, like this, it's broken. And just for me, ultimately for me, at the end of this show, it felt like the end. It just felt like the end. It just felt like this isn't going anywhere else.
What do you mean, the end of Star Wars?
Yeah. It felt like this is, and I don't know why I felt that way. I was depressed because it just ended, and there are bits I liked, and you know I'm going to moan about stuff, but somehow this just felt like a full stop, and I don't know why I felt that way. It just felt like, and I know they're leaving all these strands.
That was the bit that wound me up.
But it's almost like none of those strands, apart from Ray Stevenson's, but we know he's dead, character, but they can get another actor to portray that character. But even that, really, do I care? Like, so what? It was almost, that's why I think it felt like a full stop. It was like, I really, like, I've got to the end of this one now. So I've done Kenobi, I've done Boba Fett, I've done Mandalorian, I've done Andor, I've done this one. I've got to the end of this, and hours and hours and hours. And now it's like,
I kind of feel like between this one and Kenobi, because Kenobi was my one, like this was Tater's one, Kenobi was my one that I was really excited about. I kind of feel like this one, and I will sort of give it to AHSOKA on this one. This one was better than Kenobi. I would say.
Yeah, yes.
But
I agree.
I think this one has kind of frustrated me in a different way because this one had so much more potential. Whereas Kenobi, you know Kenobi's end point. You know his end point. So you have to kind of keep it within, you know, Kenobi's going to survive, basically. If that's what if you get what I'm saying, like sticking it in there, you know, Kenobi's going to survive. All they had to do was make a good story and keep it within continuity, which they couldn't bloody do. So that's what annoyed me with Kenobi. But with this one, it is something new where we don't know what the end point is. So I feel like this one had a lot more potential. And that's why I think this one may have frustrated me a bit more.
Was it Mandalorian? The last series of Mandalorian, episode 1, where everyone was moaning because it was more or less a recap of what had gone before. Was it, or was it Boba Fett? I don't know. But whatever episode 1 of the series it was, I was saying I like it.
Episode 1 was kind of like throwing everybody in, and it's just like, this is all you need to know.
That's it.
We're off. Yeah.
That's what I thought. Well, that's what I hoped this series was going to do, because in my heart of hearts, I knew all it was going to be. It required you to have viewed, you know, 11, 12, 13, 15 series of, you know, hours and hundreds of hours of previous.
Right. So
it doesn't do, but for me, I want people to jump on board Star Wars.
But technically it didn't. It didn't need you to watch all that. Now we've got to the end and you look back, all it is just the fan service bits. This was there. This was there. That's from there. This is from there. Had nothing to do with the story. I mean, I'm using the word story. It had nothing to do with what we saw.
We can't get behind. We can't get.
No. I know. But what I'm saying is, you didn't need to watch 7 seasons of Clone Wars and 4 seasons of Rebels. All you needed that for was, now you understand that reference. Oh, now you understand that person. Now you understand this about that person, or this.
But
about
maybe
this
that's
place.
why it felt. Maybe that's why it felt. Well, maybe that's, you're onto something there, because like we said, between the world between worlds, you didn't need to know what that was. You just need to know this weird place, and she's learning this lesson. You don't actually need to know what the world between worlds is. But I think the mistake that they've made is they've kind of made it in a way where you don't need to know you don't need to watch all the animated, because we're telling a story where you can sort of get what's going on. But if you know what's going on, you're going to get a bit more. But the mistake they've made is they haven't reintroduced the characters. So AHSOKA, if you have never watched anything else before in terms of animated, you have no idea who AHSOKA is, and all of a sudden she's here. You kind of need to reintroduce her.
I think that's what I'm trying to get at, Liz, to be fair.
Yeah, you kind of need to reintroduce the characters.
Recap. This is who she is. This is what she's doing, rather than kind of give little like minimal. They give you minimal like snippets,
and actually give her an arc
episodes, and then they forget all about it. Like, that's enough. You know enough now.
Like, prior to her going in between the world between worlds,
behind her,
there was no. I mean,
succeed. You don't want to see her overcome all the obstacles. You don't want to see her be the hero of the day, because
I mean, what lesson was Anakin trying to teach her? I'm going to ask you, Taters. What lesson was he trying to teach her?
Right. Because what I got from that, from the world between worlds, he was basically trying to get her to let go of the burden of everything that she feels that is her fault. Troops dying. You know, again, you have the flashback to the.
That's what I was hoping you would say.
Yeah. Perfect. So it's just like, let go of the burden. It is not your fault. Nobody died because of you. They died around you.
Great.
You were in command, and yes, that's the responsibility you have to carry, but it isn't your fault.
Perfect.
So it was an awakening, but it was part of, from what I saw, it was part of her trials. You know, the Jedi trials. All Jedi have to go through the trials. The trials are very individual to that person. That was part of her trials, which is why she come out of it.
If that was what Anakin was trying to teach her, We didn't see nothing leading into that or building up to that beforehand in the previous episodes. We saw none of her burden. They didn't establish anything. All of a sudden,
she talked quite slowly.
All of a sudden, she gets knocked off a cliff by Balin, and all of a sudden, Anakin's teaching her about all these burdens that she's got. Well, hang on a minute. For that to work and for that to have a payoff, we need to see her different in the very beginning.
Yeah.
And burdened with all this stuff, maybe flashbacks, maybe nightmares, maybe she's trying to shut herself off from the Force, whatever it may be.
So from that aspect,
that early on, and then she has this trial with Anakin, learns her lesson, and then we see her character change significantly, not just a costume change. We see a character change significantly afterwards in order for that payoff to work.
But so from that aspect, from what you're saying there,
that's called quick change. That's some new powers. Water breathing, whale song.
Right. So from that aspect, what you're saying there, that's probably the one thing where if you had seen Ahsoka grow up through Clone Wars, you'd have a little bit more understanding of the difference from her character from Clone Wars to Rebels to this
show.
I do,
and I've seen it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No character change.
Yeah. But then, and there's a slight character change after that where she's Ahsoka the White. It's not massive. It was a slight change. It was a little bit more towards the Ahsoka we knew, but it's still not enough. And again, ultimately, it just didn't go anywhere.
So,
it didn't gel.
Something I've just thought of, guys. Right, something I've literally just thought of right now is why am I? No. Why didn't they just do Rebels Series 5?
They should have done.
Why did they have
fan bait?
Why did they have to do a live action Ahsoka? Is it really because they needed another female Star Wars?
No, Ahsoka's a popular character. It's the fan bait. Ahsoka's a popular character.
Yeah, but
Filoni's trying to create his little universe with Mandalorian. So he wants Ahsoka in so he wants Ahsoka in live action. Ahsoka's a very popular character, like Kenobi was. We can slap it on as a title, and there you go. That's why.
No, I think it would have worked better if they'd have just done Rebel Season 5 animated. And like they went back all those years later after Clone Wars, they come back and they made a very short Season 7 just to cap it all off and say, right, bosh, there it is, it's all done.
Which is what your background. I like your background there, man, because that's pretty much from I like that.
Yeah,
that's very nice.
Yeah,
but it's yes, it would have been the sensible thing to do, just do Rebels Season 5, but they need it in live action. Ahsoka's a popular character. That's what we're going to do. That's why they did it the way they did it. And you know my feelings about Ahsoka. She should have died before the OT. I'll still stick by it. Should have died before the OT, because all you're doing is diminishing Luke Skywalker. But by the time it gets to Star Wars, Luke Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Yoda are the only ones that are out there. They will die off. Luke Skywalker's the last hope, the new hope, the last chance.
Last chance.
But by having all the other Jedi around,
second from last chance.
Well, Leia, but
Leia's still there.
But by having Ahsoka, Ezra, whoever else they decide to throw in the mix, Balin's around as well. Whoever else.
Is he though?
Well, he's alive after the OT, isn't he? So he'd been around there.
That's a bit like that 1980s trailer again. Like the last Jedi is in search of
another Jedi.
more Jedi.
Exactly. But at any point when you're in the writing room and you've got Star Wars at your disposal and you're writing the next thing for Star Wars, at any point, whatever you're writing, if that diminishes something that's come before, especially something as beloved as the OT, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't diminish it. Just do something else. Move it in the timeline. It should have been set. They should have done a different story. Have Thrawn in it if you want, but set it before the original trilogy and get rid of Ahsoka.
And they could have done. They could have done. That's the thing. They could have done with where that went with Sabine to where Sabine and Ahsoka go off on that journey.
Yeah,
you could have had that. What was it? I think it was 4 years. 4 years before the Battle of Yavin.
Yeah,
at the end of Rebel season 4.
Yeah.
And they could have done all that, but they wanted it to run concurrently with
Mandalorian.
Mando season 3.
Because Filoni, instead of doing what's best for the franchise, Filoni is a fanboy, but he can't kill his darlings. He's doing Mandalorian, which is set post Jedi, so he's now got that because it's the live actions where all the live action stuff's happening. He's determined to get all these characters from the animated into the live action. So instead of doing what's best and thinking about it, all he's seen is, oh, my characters, I get to see them in live action. I get to see my dreams come true. Great. And that's all he's doing. Instead of thinking, well, actually, that character needs to go because I don't want to ruin what happened in the OT there. I need this to be here. Just do something different. No, it's all got to be linked, and it's this universe stuff, isn't it? Just do a nice show off to the side, Rogue One style.
Getting bland and dragged out, because you look at those 8 episodes and all the characters.
Could have been 4.
And what you would want to focus on, right? I want to focus on the relationship between Ahsoka and Sabine Wren. You imagine like you got 8 hours of TV entertainment to craft, and you're given that brief as it stands now. The Thrawn, I would be saying Thrawn and the Night Troopers returning to a galaxy far, far away. If I can't get that, the latest I want him return is midpoint. If I can get returning at the end of episode 2, I'll compress everything they did in this series in those first 2 episodes. Just get that out of the way.
Yeah, see, that's
someone die.
My feeling about that. If we look at the animated, average out at something like 16 episodes. Yeah, some of them are 22, some of them 24, some of them are less. I've got a feeling, by the time you get to the end of season 2, if there's going to be a season 2, you've got one series of an animated show. You know what I mean? And I don't know if that means anything. It might. But the way this ended, it didn't end. There was no conclusion to anything. We didn't get any conclusive finish other than Morgan Elsbeth bloody dying and Baylan going off on another journey and Shin Hati with a saber doing whatever she's doing. Nothing ended. There was just a load of loose ends still. Nothing's concluded. We didn't even get a climax of anything.
Well, that's always bad when we don't get a climax.
No, I know. But I was really trying as well.
But we don't go there, Liz.
But with Baylan as well, that was such a missed opportunity, because you've got Ahsoka who left the Jedi Order. So she's not a Jedi. And then you've got Baylan that isn't necessarily a Sith, but they both kind of go in the middle. Almost like
he was once a Jedi. So or a Jedi.
Exactly, but almost they're the 2 outliers that sort of sit in the middle. He's not a full-on Sith. She's not a full-on Jedi. You could have had a lot of back and forth, even have them almost teaming up to a degree, but then Baylan takes it too far. You could have had a really good bit of dialogue or some really good scenes or a really good storyline of, we're both outsiders. We both were Jedi. We don't believe in the Jedi Order. We're both not part of that anymore. We need to try and find who we are. Ahsoka still believes in the light side of it, but Baylan's been sort of pushed towards the dark side, but not fully. You could have had a really interesting storyline with those 2.
Yeah, and on that same kind of subject, we were talking about on a Hogcast how it would have been great if Baylan is trying to get Sabine to the dark side.
I do still think that's going to happen.
Yeah, but it's going to happen what?
Yeah.
4.
Yeah, possibly. At the rate they're going,
The movie. They're going. But we was talking about it. We was excited about it. Excited about Night Troopers and Thrawn returning, going back. And this is the fundamental problem. They just can't they just can't get on with it.
No.
And on any level, they can't crack on and just bring Thrawn back episode 2. Get Balin. Try to get Sabine back all the while. An attempt to the dark side. This could all be going. Just get on with it.
It's Disney is seeing it as a problem with streaming.
How long was A New Hope without the credits?
Not about an hour and a half, probably.
80-something minutes.
Star Wars, by the way, but yeah.
Yeah, cool. Thank you, Liz. Thank you.
Otherwise called Star Wars.
Yeah.
Bang, bang.
Yeah, 100%. And this is the thing, like Kenobi, like again, like
they've got the money, the resources, everything. They just don't do it. They walk and they.
Well, they're not following the TV format, are they?
Fart around.
But they're not following the TV format. They almost have got a pitch for a movie. Right now, drag that out into 8 episodes, and that's why you always get the filler. That's what happened with Mando season 3. That's what happened with Kenobi. You're getting that filler all the time because they're not following a TV format. They're trying to.
That leads on to a very, very current subject that I want to talk about on the next podcast. To be fair,
they're not following a TV format at all.
TV format,
and with a TV format, you have to do again half episodes that they've been delivering. Episode 3 and 4 should have been 1 episode. The way they deliver their episodes, they give you half episodes each week. Each week, you're declining in viewership because the momentum's going down. So you're dragging it out. They're using a film pitch and dragging it out into a TV show. There's so many errors here. It's ridiculous. It's still going on. It's the same that happened with Mandalorian season 3. It's the same that happened with Andor. To be fair,
with
Kenobi. It's happened with all of them, and I know we're talking about Star Wars, but it's also happened with Marvel as well. They're not getting their formatting right. If you want to tell a TV show, a story in a TV show, you need to tell us a story, but you need to deliver each week. You need to leave the audience satisfied. It's almost like you kind of need like a single format. So follow one group with a little arc going through, but you've got either individual stories or you condense it down so you tell the whole story instead of just half episodes. It just doesn't work.
They need to go back in time.
Remember in the 90s when you'd have shows the way it'd be a contained story, Stargate, Buffy.
Exactly. So I said this a while back. I used the A-Team as an example.
Yeah,
because it was you had a weekly story, you had one thread that went through the whole season, but you had a weekly story that concluded here and added a little bit more to that thread.
And we all loved it.
Yeah, exactly. Stargate was exactly the same.
But you get
$6 million man.
But you get a complete story every week. A complete story.
That's the thing. It was too many threads. There was a lot of intrigue in AHSOKA. There was a lot of intrigue. But it just didn't go anywhere. I'm still intrigued. I'm still intrigued by the characters. I want to know Balin Skull's backstory. I want to know where he's going. I've got my theories about Shin Hati.
Yes, but not give us it all. But leave us at the end of season.
I want to know the history of the space turtles.
The Eroks.
The Eroks, yeah. I want the history of them. And I want to know if they were banished to that galaxy and they originally were at war with the Ewoks.
Have you got your standee yet? Have you got your Erok standee? No.
Wait. No. Christmas is round the corner. Wink, wink.
Get our wicket out.
You know what? I think Dismal. They need the equivalent of someone like Greg Berlanti.
Yeah.
And I know it's CW, and I know CW is a dirty word now because of how it ended up with all the crap.
Yeah.
Greg Berlanti, I think he still holds the record for having the most amount of TV programs at any one time.
Yeah, 27.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Liz. And that man, he had a handle on it all.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying he was perfect. I'm not saying, but imagine a guy like that at the head of Star Wars. that was linking. So instead of Flash, Arrow, what was the other one?
Supergirl.
Yeah, blah 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 blah.
Or remember how? And I know we're going off topic slightly,
and he made it work. Imagine a Greg Berlanti with Star Wars, but working with Filoni,
and
Favreau, and all the others. Imagine him just overseeing it, and then we.
Do you know what? There's one show that actually added value to the movies, and that was controversially the very first season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That's the closest they got when it tied in very nicely with the Winter Soldier.
Right at the end, though.
Yeah, right at the end,
but right off track, right off the beaten track. I mean,
it was, but the reason I'm using that as an example is the episodes where it tied into Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
you didn't have to watch Winter Soldier to understand what was happening in the show. You didn't have to watch the TV show to understand what was happening in the film. They were two separate, and if you watched it together, you got a nice little story with an extra little flavour to it. It could stand alone. The other example I was going to use is the current Star Wars comics they've got, where they're going in between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. If you want to find out what happened in between, you can read that, and it's got its own self-contained stories in that.
Yeah.
And it just, there's something to be said for a self-contained story. You can link it in a little bit, but that self-contained story, but you're delivering a story. That's the important element here.
Yeah.
And then just not doing it.
What on all this, you know, so George Lucas created a universe where you can just let your imagination run wild, really. But no one is. And that's what's going to be a little, I don't know how to describe it, but the Hunger Games prequel film that's coming out soon.
Didn't know there was one.
Neither did I.
Using that universe, they created a world there that people are interested in, a bit like Harry Potter.
Oh, hang on, sorry. I think I have seen this. There's in the trailer. They're going back to how the Hunger Games begun, aren't they?
Yeah,
yeah, I do. Yeah, I loosely remember that. Yeah.
And
right, I'm with you.
This is how you explore a universe that someone's created. J.K. Rowling with Harry Potter, those films, and I don't know what associated. I don't know about the slimy hairy beasts and all them films, but you
know, you're watching them on the wrong channel, mate.
That's just me.
but whatever happened to as well, and this, I think this. I think this is something that you're going to sort of jump on straight away, Hog, is if you've got a season of a show, you need to, again, deliver that complete story within that season, maybe leave one loose thread for enticement, but you don't know you're getting a second season.
Yeah.
So I don't think, as far as I'm aware, they haven't announced the second season of AHSOKA.
Oh, I've heard all sorts.
But if that's your one chance at doing 8 episodes of AHSOKA, you're going to cram it in like you got no tomorrow. And if they do greenlight a second season because of how well it's gone down, because you crammed it in and actually delivered a decent story, then you create a new story for season 2.
From that point of view, that is a failure on a massive level, isn't it?
Massive, because
you've only got one shot, and that's what your one shot is. I mean, that makes it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a thing. I don't know if it's a thing, but everything Star Wars, all they think is trilogies. Trilogy. So we're going to have 3 seasons of Mandalorian. We're going to have 3 seasons of Kenobi. We're going to have 3 seasons of Andor.
But we're not.
No, I know we're not. But what I'm saying is most people think trilogy.
Kenobi.
Could you imagine?
Oh God! How many more times are you going to fight Vader? But this is the thing. You've got to deliver that story. All they've done is,
and that was my problem with this thing.
Yeah.
It didn't end. It wasn't an end. There was no conclusion.
All they've done is given you your intro.
Yeah.
Thrawn's back. Right. Okay. Well, what's going to happen now then?
Yeah.
And we won't see that at all. I don't think we're going to get a season 2 of Ahsoka. And at the very most, we're going to get a Filoni film where it's Ahsoka, Mando.
Yeah, I think I said it on the group chat. After this, they need some time off now.
But
they need time off.
But this is the thing, and this is the problem with streaming.
In a Mandoverse film, no way.
Not yet.
But this is the problem with 1, streaming, and 2, giving too much power with these big franchises. Everything's got to be interconnected, so it's got to set up the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So that's your product. Okay. But actually, if you deliver a decent self-contained product, that's really good and really well received. That's going to make people want to see the next thing. Instead of going, right, we're going to do 8 episodes of Ahsoka, because all that's going to do is set up this film that may never actually happen. Yeah. You're not going to get anywhere with that. And it's not going to build hype for the film. If anything, that diminishes the film, because people can't just go, oh, there's a Star Wars film coming out. Oh, by the way, you've got to watch all of Mando, Boba Fett, and Ahsoka before going to see that film. It doesn't work.
No.
It doesn't work.
That's why I thought this was the end. It just seemed to come.
Yeah. It needs to be. It needs to be for a good while now. It needs to be off now. Let everything. I mean, I don't know what's happening with the Acolyte. I keep hearing different things about the Acolyte. The Acolyte's getting canned. They're going to do a Batgirl with the Acolyte, and it's not going ahead. And then it is, and then it isn't again. And it's up and down like a yo-yo.
But imagine, if you will, for a second, that Ahsoka was released on network television. Imagine the difference in quality, because you've got to deliver week on week, otherwise you're not getting renewed for season 2.
Well, that's it. It wouldn't be a season 2.
I maintain it is a measure. It is a measure of credibility.
Yeah.
Audience, enjoyment.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so if you go back to network television, you got to make your pilot.
Yeah.
You got to make your pilot, and then your pilot sells it to the advertisers or not.
So Katano.
Still the best character. They just really piss poor with that show.
I know you like Ahsoka, but in all honesty, the best character.
I think so. Yeah, personally, yeah.
Better than Anakin, Vader, Luke.
Anakin was the best character in Star Wars up until we met Ahsoka, you know what I mean? And then it sort of like, yeah, Anakin to Vader to Anakin. You know, Star Wars was Anakin's story.
Yeah, and that's what I'm getting at. So you've got, okay, originally OT fans, probably you'd go, well, which we all are, you're going to go Vader because of the intrigue, and
absolutely,
Luke, because he's your main hero. You're going to go Han Solo because he's sort of like, you know, he's a bit of a lad, and then you each pick your character from the OT. Then the prequels come out, and it's, you know, you're filling in Anakin's story. So
yeah,
probably before the prequels come out, people probably thinking, well, no, I didn't. You're revealing. It's almost like the Joker when I was having a go about the Joker origin when the first Joker movie came out. I was saying, I don't want to see that. But actually, I thought it was a really good film.
I'm sure Lucas did actually say
with the prequels, there was the risk of diminishing the mystery of Darth Vader, but actually I think it added to it. It was good to see Anakin's fall, and it told
that's what I'm saying, but I'm pretty sure George Lucas
told a great
went
story
on record before the prequels come out, and like, you know, before he even made them, and said that Star Wars, the OT, was Anakin's redemption story.
Yes,
it was always Anakin's redemption story, regardless of, we don't know the backstory yet. It was always about Anakin's redemption and his son bringing him out of the dark side. It was all about Anakin Skywalker.
Which is a great story. But what I'm asking is, what makes Ahsoka better than that for you?
For me,
because I don't see it.
I just feel she had the best arc, you know, from the beginning when we met her when she was a young girl, right the way through to the end of Rebels. And I am going to stop at the end of Rebels, not this. You know, had the best arc within Star Wars. And that's my theory, my take. Sorry.
And again,
it's interesting.
It did get interesting when they went back in this Ahsoka series. For me, not knowing all of the Rebels series, it did get interesting when it went back into the Clone Wars, where she was a kid.
Yeah.
Those flashback scenes.
Yeah.
If we could have just had one episode to just get us
start with that.
Into that. Yeah. Into her. What makes her tick? Just in case you haven't seen 4 seasons of Rebels and 7 series of Clone Wars. Just in case you haven't seen those 11 series, and you've got some you've got some enthusiastic people at the end of a remote control thinking, "Oh, check this out."
I mean, especially if you're trying to, if
you're a female character, a powerful female character with her lightsaber and giving it large, but you're following her from when she was a girl. Or whatever.
Imagine if the first episode opened up with a battle.
If you are really trying to sell her guilt over people that died around her while she was in command, that would have been a fantastic way to do it. Let's have some nightmares like Anakin had. Let's have some nightmares about these battles. Let's have some nightmares.
Imagine the opening of the show being a battle from the Clone Wars.
That'd be fantastic. Yeah.
But this is, I think, and this is what a professional, experienced, I believe, what an experienced professional TV executive would have required of, and I know you could call it formulaic, but I still believe that formula works.
Yeah,
because it makes you want to. It's almost like you know, we are all of a UK origin, so we are familiar with the format of, what is it, 1, 2, 3 lots of advertising. 10, 12, 15 minutes, 10, 12, 15. That 1 hour series, that 1 hour episode. But that format in the States, I think it was even more. I think it was, you know, you could tell, couldn't you, when you was watching back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
A series. You could tell when the adverts in America were kicking in, but not because it just got the next scene.
It's like every 10 minutes.
Yeah. But remember how they did it with the adverts. You could tell because it's almost like they broke the story down into 10-minute segments because they had to make you want to sit through the adverts to come back to watch the next 10 minutes.
Almost beginning, middle, end. And at the end of the day, that is what's lost. The
adverts had to be long enough to make a cup of tea.
Well, and they had to be long enough to earn enough money to give you a second season.
Yeah.
The advertisers, if you couldn't show the advertisers how many people were watching your program, the advertisers just went, well, I can't be
not interested. Yeah.
I will move on to something else. I'll move on to another show. And that competition is, I know, listen, I know I'm like a broken record now, but that competition, that format is lost now. And I'll tell you what, I don't know whether or not that needs to return.
Well, it is, isn't it?
Or whether there's an alternative to that. I don't know what there might be a modern, new, like 21st century version.
I mean, nobody's thought of yet, yeah.
No.
Of measuring. It's not all about advertising and getting corporations to pay you loads of money. But if it isn't that, where's the money going to come from then? Where's the money coming from to fund? If it's not from people subscribing, it's got to be advertising.
But the advertising's coming back. We know that. We know the advertising's coming back.
It must be. But it must be a robust measurement.
Yeah.
Viewers.
Well, they're testing it now, aren't they? And they're giving people the option to pay a higher rate with no advertising or a lower rate, and you're going to watch adverts.
Yeah.
Tayters, I've got a question for you, man. You obviously, Ahsoka's your favorite character.
Mm-hmm.
What would you have done with this story? So you know you've got to have AHSOKA post Jedi, and you know it's got to deal with Thrawn. Not almost what you had done differently. What would you have liked to have seen, apart from obviously a good story? But what would you have liked to have seen specifically with AHSOKA, like in terms of her character development, where she is? Bearing in mind you're the expert on AHSOKA, what would you like to have seen?
That's the thing. I don't know. I don't know what I wanted from this show. That's the tricky bit.
Where is it the sort of poison chalice, where it's a double-edged sword of, because it's your favorite character, it's potentially never going to live up to your expectation?
It is possible. It is possible that you know what, we got to the end of Rebels season 4, and even with the way it ended, leaving questions, it was just like, I was like, okay, that's cool. That's a good ending. They've shut that down. They've ticked all the boxes. They haven't explained everything, but they've ticked all the boxes. I'm happy. If they leave that there and they never touch this again, I'm good. Then obviously you hear this. And like I say, I don't know what I was expecting off of this show. But I was expecting a show about AHSOKA. And we didn't get it. So, you know, the title, bait and switch. Yeah. Didn't
do it every time. They do it every time.
They do.
No, I mean, come on. We know that Dismal Minus do not do a show. When they name a show with the title character, you know
it's not going to be about them. Yeah,
they're not going to be in it. But anyway, I think that's enough, don't you? I think we've.
I want to see the Shin Hattie spin-off now.
Yeah.
I've still got a lot of questions about that character. I love that character. I think she's absolutely brilliant.
She does make me feel kind of funny, I've got to admit.
Well, yeah, but that's you. That's everybody. Jesus. There's a lot of intrigue about that character specifically for me, because I think I know where she's from. But I do.
Where's she from?
Well, I've got it in my head that she's the daughter of Asajj Ventress and Quinlan Vos.
Interesting.
Something about her character.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, I do. I see it. I know the timeline's right, because the only thing we really know about her is roughly when she was born, and it sort of falls in time of when Asajj Ventress was killed. The timeline is like literally right there. So, and again, the look of her is an amalgamation of those two characters, I feel, but I may be wrong. Wake up now, Hog.
That is such an appropriate place to fade out. I want to find out more about.
So yeah, overall, AHSOKA show was a letdown.
I want to see the Ewoks versus Eroks.
Yeah.
And Ewoks versus Ewoks, man.
I think there needs to be a freeway battle between the Eroks, the Ewoks, and the Gungans.
Ewok.
It's gonna get fishy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's enough now. That's when you know you've run out of things to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know, the chat has descended into just vials.
Well, anyway, like I say, overall, let down. They need to take some time off now. Stop trying to make Star Wars.
Yeah.
Give it a rest. Everybody gather themselves and get some stories.
And
massively missed opportunity.
I said that about Marvel after Endgame.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Let's have just shush now. Shush.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. You now.
I've got to agree. Yeah, I've got to agree with you, Tayters there.
Yeah, it's time to give it a rest for the foreseeable future until they can actually.
It does feel
get
like
the right people.
With everything further afield going on. There's no, they aren't going to make anything. You ain't going to see a film. This Mandoverse film, Filoni's, there's not going to be a movie. they're not. Disney are in no state.
No, well, they pencil it for 2026, and it was just like, there's no way.
Pencil it for 2027. Pencil it for 2040. It's a bit like.
Imagine how slow Rosario Dawson's going to be by the time it's filmed.
2050, but who cares?
Imagine how slow she's going to be by the time it's actually filmed.
Oh shit! Yeah, imagine getting Rosario Dawson out of retirement. She's showing up as it is. Oh, bless her.
I feel sorry for Rosario Dawson. She loves that character as well, and
bless her.
She was pitching for years to play that character, and she finally got it.
And she just stood there with her arms crossed the whole time, talking really slowly.
The fight scenes, no. When she was doing her little back flips and back rolls, you thought, no.
Yeah, as the character, that bit didn't fit.
But they kept saying how she'd been training for like 3-4 hours a day.
Your mum do it.
They kept saying how she'd been training for like 3 or 4 hours a day for months, and that's the best. That's terrible. So bad. It wasn't good at all. It wasn't good at all. And then you had Anakin, like old Hayden, come back in one scene, just totally outdoes her straight away. Yeah. Then you had Morgan outdo her straight away. At least, like, I'm not being funny. If you know she's not that great at it, and then you get someone like Morgan or Anakin that's had proper like training and experience of doing it, you either need to make sure she ups her game or tone the other person down a bit. So
especially with what is meant to be the most like athletic character in the.
Yeah. Just wasn't. It didn't suit it at all. Didn't suit it at all.
No.
One character we haven't spoken about this whole time in this overview, and it kind of says, quite a bit for how well the character actually did, because we haven't even mentioned it. Hera. We didn't even mention her the whole time. How forgettable is she in this season?
The pilot character that dresses like a pilot.
Yeah, dresses like a pilot. Yeah,
that disobeys every rule because she's a general.
Because she is a pilot.
That's why I'm saying I wish they hadn't actually done what they did. I wish they'd have just done this as animated, had it as Rebel season 5, and left it animated, and you could have done everything properly. But never mind.
She's a pilot that dresses like a pilot. And he's always ready to be a pilot.
One question I've got though is her son. So obviously
Jason,
Jason, the dad, Kanan Jarrus.
Yeah.
So that's a human and what's her race called? Twi'lek.
Yeah. Twi'lek, however you
So a human and a Twi'lek have somehow had a baby. Don't know how it works, but I've had a baby, and it's literally human, but just to show that the mum's a Twi'lek, they've just dyed the hair green. Like, come on. Like, there's nothing growing out the head. There's none of like the.
What would happen if a space lizard?
Wow.
And a hedgehog
procreated, or a hog procreated with a human? What would happen there?
I expect them to be a bit prickly. Do you know what I mean? Not just full on human with some green hair.
My kids have spiky hair.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know what I mean? But like, just to have green hair, like that, it just didn't seem right, mate. To be honest,
when you're asking questions like that, you know.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
it's not good, is it?
Shit. You're looking at them thinking, why is that kid a human? Like you're. Yeah, there were moments when I was thinking, oh.
We come from Star Wars. They made clones, for Christ's sake.
Science fiction, you say?
It's science fiction.
Science fantasy. We can do anything, you say. Oh, anyway. Anything else to say? Anything else to add? Anything else to dump?
I think we've got it off our chests now.
I think we did, yeah. I think that's been...
It needed to be put to rest.
It did.
And for the, 11 people that watch this.
What, the show or
this? We've got Amber, we got SJ, we're going to have Randy, definitely.
Oh, you think they watched here?
Oh, come on, they're gonna watch this.
They ain't been invited.
You know they're gonna watch this.
It'd be funny if this video gets more views than episode 8.
Yeah.
What was the viewership of episode 8? Do we even know?
No.
Other than that first
it's
one,
not
they didn't
gonna be
release
high.
any, did they?
It's not going to be high.
No, it's only. I mean, obviously, Dismal don't do their.
No, they only released the first one for the first show, and that was it.
Samba TV, isn't it? Samba.
Yeah,
TV,
Samba. Yeah.
And Nielsen do, but it's not good.
But even when they released the viewing figures for the first one, they sort of fudged it because they said views, not viewers.
Yeah, exactly.
I must have watched that first episode 3 or 4 times. At least.
Well, yeah, exactly. So you've bumped up their figures. Definitely bumped up their figures there, mate, which ain't great.
Yeah. Shame, innit?
It is.
I'm just searching to see if they've released it quickly.
See, now we got to the end of that. We got to the end of that AHSOKA, and I went straight back and watched all 4 seasons of Rebels again. And
so
definitely more satisfying.
Right, so Screen Rant. This is funny. Screen Rant, the article I've just found. AHSOKA finale performed better than Andor, but 42% worse than The Mandalorian.
What, Mandalorian season 1 or 2 or 3? What?
3. So bearing in mind the season 3 finale ain't great. So AHSOKA finale performed better than Andor, but 42% worse than The Mandalorian.
I mean, they could have done that finale thing with AHSOKA and done the Looney Tunes ending and had that nice little coming in.
Oh, mate, that was the worst.
On an E-Rock.
Oh, God, it wasn't good.
Tunes ending.
Yeah, that was not good. Kind of says what they think about the show, doesn't it?
And to rub it in, they did it in Indy 5 as well. Oh,
yeah. Dismal.
Yeah, very dismal.
Right. That's enough now, isn't it?
Done.
Yeah, I think we put it to bed now, man.
Well, I think we
never talk about it again. Bury it.
I can live with that.
We need to pat the earth down, straighten it across.
Let the past go, destroy it.
And walk away.
That's it. Just, I'm done.
On that note, it's time for freeze frame.
Freeze frame.
Is Liz doing it?